Hello. Okay, so today as I was cleaning out some stuff off my computer, I came across a picture that I had screenshot from one of the studies I was doing that I was following from Brandon Holthouse, and I forgot who the guest speaker was with him. But anyways, it was talking about the so-called genocide that people are wanting to call on Israel. So they decided to tell people exactly what genocide has been happening. To the people that are holding signs saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, right? Because a lot of these morons do not realize that what they're saying. In other words, we want to kill every Jew on the planet so that the people that live in Palestine can have that little tiny sliver of what's left of Israel. So review what true ethnic cleansing really means. Okay. My first slide, and then I'll share the screen. Okay. As we see here, and it only goes up to 2018, from 1948 to 2018. Okay, let's bring the picture back up. Why did the 15? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, these are 9. Now, in 1948, we all know that Israel became a state. Right after that, they were attacked by 7 Arab countries. Now, these idiots want to make you believe that Israel, after they became a state, that they caused like 150,000 or some god awful number of Arabs. They had to flee the country of Israel. Wrong. 7 countries came against Israel immediately after they were given the authority and were given the right to be called a state. In 1917, they became a nation again because that land is what God gave them. He promised to our father Abraham, our father Isaac, and our father Jacob. So if you look at this screen, you'll see we have Algeria, Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Morocco, who are my neighbors are from, Syria, Tunisia, Yemen, or Aden, right? In 1948, you can see the numbers: 140,000, 75,000, 135,000, 5,000, 38,000, 265,000, and so forth. And then you look how much it dramatically dropped in 10 years. They lost 10,000 Jews, lost 55 or 60,000 Jews. Went from 100 in Iraq. In 10 years, they went from 135,000 down to 6,000. In Lebanon, they actually gained 1,000. Ironic, but then in 68 they lost 3,000, and then in 78 they went from 3,000 to 400. In 2011 there was 0, and then in 2018 minus 100. I'm not sure what the minus means. Libya, they started out in 48 with 38,000. Within 10 years they went down to 3,750. 10 years later there were only 100. In 1978 there were only 40 Jews living in Libya. As of 2011 and forward, there are none living in Libya. Morocco, which is the majority of it, are Sunni Muslims. No, mommy, because you like to pee on my floor. You can't come in this room. I'm sorry. Started out with 265,000. Within 10 years, 65,000 gone. 68, they went from 200,000 to 50,000. That's 150,000 in 10 years. They went down from 32,000 more. And then from 78 to 2011, they went from 18,000 to 4,000. From 2018 down to 2,150. And as of 2023, they only have 2,100 in Morocco. Syria, you see, started out at 30,000. Within 10 years, they lost 25,000 Jews out of there. 1,000 more within 10 years. And then they actually gained some from 68 to 78. Weird. But from 1978 to 2011, it dropped from 4,500 to 100. And as of 2018, it was still at just 100. Tunisia, 105,000. Within 10 years, dropped 25,000. And then in another 10 years, it dropped 70,000. And then in another 10 years, it dropped 3,000. And then from 78 to 2111, it went to 1,500. And then 2018, another 7 years later, it went down to 1,050. Yemen, 63,000. Within 10 years, dropped to 4,300. Then it dropped 10 years later to 500. So 10 years later, it was still 500. But from 78 to 2011, it dropped to 250. And then as of 2018, it says minus. the numbers at the very bottom of the total. As of 2011, there were 6,200 that were negative. Not really sure what I mean by that, but wow, and that's not what I want to do. Okay, all right. And then there's this one. And this is the one that I got off the. This is the one that I had gotten off of the. I got a screenshot off of the video that I was watching, the live stream that I was watching. This is what you call ethnic cleansing. In 1948, the Jewish population, as you can see, Egypt, Syria, Iran, Iraq, Lebanon, Morocco, Yemen, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, how do you say that? And Gaza. 1, 2, 3 states, 3 of those countries. As of last year, there are 0 Jews. One of them being Gaza, which all the Jews left Gaza in 2005. So in Egypt, in 1948, they started out with 63,550. Now there's 3 that live there. Those are some brave people. You couldn't pay me to live there. Syria started out with 40,000. In 75 years, they're down to 0. Iran started out with 100,000 as of 1948, down to 8,500. Iraq started with 150,000, down to 4 Jews that live there. Lebanon, 20,000, down to 29. Morocco started with 265,000, down to 2,100. Yemen, 55,000. They have one person, one Israel person that lives there. That must be like the leader of that country's wife or something, you know. Algeria, 140,000 versus 200 now. Libya, 38,000 in 1948 versus 0 now. Tunisia, 105,000 versus 1,000 now. Gaza, there were 7,949 versus 0. As of 2005, there are no Jews living, have not been any Jews living in Gaza. When they gave it over to the Palestine territory, they moved it and then took everybody. I mean, they just like overnight left, and no one was left and hasn't been. Now, the Arab population in 1948 in Israel, there was 156,000. Now, as of last year, there's 2,100,000 Arabs that live in Israel. Arabs in Gaza, in 1948, there were 80,000. As of 2023, there's 2 million Arabs living, or Gazans living, Arabs living in Gaza. So you tell me, where is it that the Jewish people are doing a genocide against the Palestine people? Because to me, it looks like they have grown exponentially since 1948 in Israel and in the Gaza state. I think I had one more. Map. I guess it's gone now. But anyway, you get the gist. If you read your history, if you read your history, you will see that the minute that the papers were signed and Israel became a state, that these Arab countries came against them. Israel, if you read your Bible, all through the Old Testament, the Jewish people have had to fight for a place to live, basically. Now, there are places that God sent them to take, and the reason why they took that land and killed everyone, man, woman, child, and even their cows, and cattle and bugs and anything living, birds, whatever, was because of paganism and idol worship, right? And since God made everything and he owns everything, I guess he kind of has that right to do that. And if King Herod, not King Herod, if King Saul had obeyed what God's command was to kill everybody, everything, and if the Jews would have obeyed what God said to do, what he commanded them to do when he told Moses, and he commanded them that when they went into the land of Canaan, to push all the pagan worship and all the pagan idols and destroy all their temples and their pagans and their all that mess and kill everything that's not, just get it all out of there, push them out of the land, not necessarily kill them, but at least push them all out of the land, but do destroy their temples and their altars, right? If they would have done that, then that mess that they were into wouldn't have incorporated into the Jewish tradition. But of course they didn't. So here we are now. That's why we have people coming against Israel ever since, all this time. Ever since they came into the land that God gave them, people have been coming against them constantly. It's just a non-stop thing. But and it's not over, because the Antichrist is going to kill 2/3 of the Jews in the Great Tribulation. things are going to come on this earth when the tribulation begins. People think that the first half of the tribulation is going to be nothing. No, the moment that that's a 7-year agreement signed and the tribulation begins, that's when the angel comes down and hands the keys over to the bottomless pit, and it's opened, and things are going to come out of that abyss that we've never seen. When it talks about that, oh, well, I forgot what it was. He called it, but it's like the size of a horse, I guess. It has a scorpion's tail, and it has long hair like a woman, but it has a man's face, but it's invisible. It's in a spiritual realm, so you won't be able to hear it. But when you can hear it when it runs, I guess it sounds like 1,000 horses or something running, and it'll sting you, that scorpion tail, but you won't die. You'll be suffering though. You'll be miserable and you'll be begging for death, but death will flee from you. That's just one thing that Book of Revelation describes. So, it's just getting ready to get really bad. So yeah, the genocides that have been against the Jews all this time is nothing compared to what's coming. But for those that are talking about how the Jews are constantly killing the Palestinians and coming against them, more Palestinian people, and they're not a people. They're people that live in Palestine. If they check their blood type, they're probably either Egyptian or Jordanian. There is no blood type for Palestinians. If there's a blood type for Palestinians, then you better start checking people that live in New York, because they may have New York blood. Same difference. Palestinian people are not a people. They're just people that live in Palestine. The U.S. have people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds and cultures. But that doesn't mean that we're a bloodline. Same difference. Is people need to learn their history. They need to study the history and quit letting other people tell them lies. Of course, I'm just, I was supposed to pee in the wind because no one's going to listen. They don't listen to people that have the degrees and that are well known and famous and popular and all that know the truth and try to tell them, because they have professors in college that are lying to them and telling them the false crap, because it's all gone left, liberal BS, and they're following in the lies of the father of lies, Satan, because he's doing everything he can to get everyone to turn against the Jews, because he's doing everything in his absolute power to get people to hate the Jews and to try to prevent Jesus from coming back. Because he knows if Jesus comes back the second time, he's going into the bottomless pit, into the lake of fire for eternity. End of story. He thinks he could stop it from happening. He's not going to stop it. It's already been defeated by Jesus 2,000 years ago. But he puts all these lies in people's head, and people are buying it because they listen to the news. And have you ever noticed that every news station in every state say the exact same verbiage? Have you ever thought about why that is? It's because the deep state, the powers that be, own them and tell them what to say. That's all I'm going to say. Do your research, people. Learn to study and think for yourself. Quit allowing other people to tell you what to think.